Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, August 12th, 2023, and I am Pete Drexler from letpeteplan at gmail.com, sitting in my office, um, going over some things in the travel agency business. I am an agent for Boardwalk Travel Agency, and just trying to get some things straightened out. Not too big. It's a Saturday. I'm going to take it a little easy. I will check in on hopefully some new clients, but nothing too big. But I am going to talk to you a little bit about thrill rides at Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World has this reputation of being when it comes to thrill rides. However, they have some very big thrill rides. Now, compare them to the other neighboring theme park, Universal. They might not compare somewhat, although I think the top ones really are pretty intense, pretty thrilling, I guess, for the lack of a better term. Be honest with you, I am not a thrill ride person. I am not one. Never really have been. I've gone on roller coasters with my oldest and son and my the rest of my family sometimes, but I kind of try to avoid them unless somebody comes up and says, "Hey, Dad, you want to go on it?" And I'm going, "Sure, yeah, no problem." And I regret it later. How was that about one that we'll talk about later? Actually, the last two. For now, these are not rankings of my favorite. I just read an article, kind of skimmed through it, kind of got their idea of thrill ride rankings, and I don't necessarily agree. I do say that their top spot is probably pretty close, not as close as, it is not the top. I don't think it's the top. I think the and I'm not going to rank them, 5 through 1 or whatever, but I am going to say that there was one ride there that surprised me was not on it. When you consider another ride, which I guess it is a little bit of a thrill ride, but I didn't quite understand it. I'm gonna go by park. Now, with the Magic Kingdom, if we're talking strictly thrill rides, rides that'll, bump up your heartbeat a little. I probably have to say that the top one is one that I've not been on. It's the newest one, of course, and that would be Tron. I don't know if I'll ever be on it. It just doesn't. I'm not a big thrill ride guy. Maybe someday, although I'm getting to that point in time that I'm going like, I don't know if I should, play with my ticker that much. I'd have to say that's probably, from all, understand on this, it's secondhand knowledge. I'd have to say that it's probably more intense than any of the other rides at the Magic Kingdom. Not necessarily going to say at all of Disney, but definitely the Magic Kingdom. When it comes to thrill rides, probably that I have ridden, I'd have to say Big Thunder Mountain is probably the most thrilling ride. Intense ride, because you kind of go around, and it's just that one of the things that was on the list. And now this was like 1 through 17. That I understand why they say it's a thrill ride, but I just can't really grasp it as a thrill ride, and that is Goofy's Barnstormer. It is intense, but it's only like doesn't seem like you're even on it for a minute, and it's built for kids. It is the first thrill ride that I was on with my oldest son Nick back in 2008. He had just turned 10. We went on that, and then we went on probably one of the most, probably second that I've ever ridden, and that would be Space Mountain. Now, Space Mountain is thrilling, one, because it moves you around and you don't, but the reason why it's thrilling is you can't see. I think Barnstormer is more intense. Not Barnstormer, but Big Thunder Mountain might be a little bit more intense. Although it's one that I will ride. I will still ride, and I would ride it again. I guess probably of any of the intense thrill rides, I guess, and it would be kind of hard to call this a thrill ride, except it does have this, it did have this big, huge plunge, and it's being replaced and worked on, and won't be that type of log flume. And of course I'm talking about Splash Mountain. That's probably my favorite one, and that was more because of the music and because of just going through, and it's it just was one of my favorites of the thrill rides. Now, of course, my favorite ride or attraction at Magic Kingdom would have to be Carousel of Progress. By no stretch of the imagination is that a thrill ride, unless I guess you get stuck on it and you're like, this is thrilling. It's a sarcastic thrill. I guess if Snow White's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is pretty intense. Again, it's short. I can't really say something that's that short is that thrilling, because it seems like once that brief part of the thrill is there, then the whole ride's over. Same way with Barnstormer. I think you go and then back into the hangar. Now, I'm going to go over to Hollywood Studios, and two of the most intense thrill rides that I have not been on would have to be Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror. I got this close to getting on Tower of Terror before it broke down for the day, and we were not able to get on one time. I just viewed that as being, maybe God doesn't want me to ride this. Now, my oldest son, Nick, has advanced from the Barnstormer to have ridden Rock and Roller Coaster a couple times. That's pretty intense. Now, here's what the list that I was referring to earlier back there said was a thrill ride, which I'm not. And they said it was Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, and I can understand it. It is kind of attractive. There's a couple things in there. I'm not trying to spoil it. It's I think it's more of an entertaining ride than a thrill ride. There are some aspects of thrill. I have a hard time calling it a thrill ride. Now, I know, no offense to Patrick Mahomes, who was quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs and went on the Disneyland version, which, I'll be honest with you, I've never been on. I don't know if it's different or whatever. He said, that was pretty intense. That was pretty thrilling. I can't believe that somebody who makes a living running away from 300-pound linemen who are trying to pound him into the ground would say that Runaway Railway, although it's a very good attraction, it's neat. I'm glad it's there. Thrilling is just not a thrill ride, I should say. There are aspects of it that are thrilling, but it's more entertaining than thrilling, in my opinion. And in the list that they did not include, which I think is more of a thrill ride, even though it is tucked away in Toy Story Land, is Slinky Dog Dash. It's got it's a pretty cool roller coaster. Does a double launch. It's pretty intense. Now, they did say a couple of rides that were thrill rides that were up there. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, although there are thrills about it. I think, again, it's more of an interactive type, intense thing. I would have to say it's one. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best rides, attractions in all of Walt Disney World. And there are some aspects that are kind of thrilling, however, I find some of the there are no really, like huge drops. There's no, I'm not getting into any spoiling, but I think the storyline's kind of thrilling, and in that way, I guess you could consider it one of the best thrill rides. And I think that was like number 2 in all of Walt Disney World, which kind of, I don't see it as the number 2 thrill ride. Now, I think of it as the number 1 overall ride, even though it's not my favorite. My favorite is more because of nostalgic reasons, and I told you about that already. And it's not even a thrill ride, and that'd be Carousel Progress. For thrill rides at Hollywood Studios, though, you have Star Tours, which in a way I think is more thrilling, with air quotes, of course, than Rise of the Resistance. And I think also Smuggler's Run has more air quote thrills in it, can have. Again, that's another interactive thing that kind of depends on your... Excuse me. I think that's more intense there. Trying to think of others that would be in Hollywood Studios that we consider thrills, and I think we probably hit them. and then we go over to, and I'm gonna go over to Epcot. Not Epcot, but Animal Kingdom right now, because there's 3, 4. Well, let me rephrase that. I've ridden probably 3 of the 4 most thrilling rides at Animal Kingdom. And actually, according to the list that I just read, it also it considers one of them the most thrilling ride, and I will have to say it's up there. It is not Flight of Passage, although that was on the list. It was up kind of high, but not right there. That is very intense. A lot of that's more of what you're looking at and stuff. You're not actually, it's not like a roller coaster where you're actually doing it. It's a simulator, kind of like Star Tours in Hollywood Studios. Cali River Rapids, yes, it is. That's the one where you can get soaked. I think it says you will get wet, you may get soaked. Other than what Splash Mountain used to say, you may get wet. No, you're going to get wet if you go Cali River Rapids, which is actually kind of cool, or neat, or whatever. Very kind of refreshing on one of those hot Central Florida days. However, the lines, usually on those days, the lines at Cali River Rapids is pretty intense. The other one that I've not ridden on, and I'll get back to the one that I've ridden, that list says, the other list says is the most intense. Dinosaur, which I think is going away, or has gone away. Not sure. Not a lot of stuff going on in that area of the park, Dino Land. The most intense, thrilling ride, definitely for Animal Kingdom Park, is Expedition Everest. Now, the author of the other of the article said it was the most intense of all of Walt Disney World, and I kind of disagree with that, because I think that one is on our next park, our last park, and I think that's in Epcot, which has got a few thrill rides, which and a few rides that I was kind of shocked did not. Well, I shouldn't say I wasn't shocked. I don't think of them as thrill. The one I'm thinking of in particular, I don't think of it as a thrill ride. But when I see some of the other thrill rides that were on the top 17, and I was kind of shocked that this was not on it. Well, I guess 2. If you're going to count Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, you almost have to count Remy's. Not, again, I don't think either one of them are more thrilling than they are entertaining. Kind of a neat way to of technology to see what is possible. But for thrill rides, Soarin' was not on the list, but when you think about some of the others that were on the list, I think Soarin' can be considered a little thrilling. I mean, you're up in the air, and again, no spoilers. It's fun. it's kind of neat. You're up, you're hang gliding and stuff. Hang gliding itself, I think, would be kind of thrilling if it was real. I mean, not that, and it is. I mean, there are people who actually hang. I just don't. Soaring is just. Um, I had to include it for me personally. Not that it's, it doesn't make me nauseated. It doesn't, I just think it's kind of neat. And I put it on there because of other things that were on lists somewhere else. But there are three that I've done all three of these, and I think one of them should be the tip top of thrill rides. Not a favorite of mine. I think I've mentioned it here before. I'll definitely be mentioning it when me and my wife go over things to do or things to avoid at Epcot. But in Test Track, definitely a thrill ride. You end up. It is actually the fastest. At one point, it's the fastest you'll ever be moving at Walt Disney World on an attraction. Mission Space. Now, I've only done the green one. I did not do the orange one. However, my daughter, who gets motion sickness very easily, went on the orange mission, and she wasn't. It didn't bother her that much. But the one that I would have to say is probably the most thrilling ride. It's also one of my least favorite rides, although I will have to say the music was awesome, would have to be Guardians of the Galaxy Rewind. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about an intense, thrilling ride. That was it. I'm not, again, no spoilers. Do have great soundtrack. I think it all, it's a repeatable type of attraction based on the soundtrack, kind of like try to think. Oh well, how Star Tours has different scenes and stuff. This one has different songs that you can hear through. You could go through. I think there's 8 total. And I will say during the holidays, sometimes those are mixed up with different. Now, it's all based on, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and how the soundtrack of that is all pretty much 80s kind of music. So, that. Now, I will have to say that's my opinion on probably the most thrilling ride at Walt Disney World. And again, I have not ridden Tron. And I think at the time of this other list, Tron had not been out, so it wasn't included in any of that. So I'm not sure how that's gonna play out. But Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, in my opinion, is the most thrill ride in all of Walt Disney World. And with that said, if you want to experience these thrill rides in this I think someday we're going to talk about the difference between amusement parks and theme parks. if you want to do that and you want to do it before the end of this year, if you want a chance to ride Tron, or if you want a chance to ride Cosmic Rewind, contact me, Pete Draxstrom, from letpeteplan@gmail.com. And remember, I'm an agent for Boardwalk Travel Agency, and I can hook you up with a wonderful vacation, or as I should say, not hook, but book you up. And there are still plenty of things to do. I mean, plenty of time to make a end of the year trip, or if you want to wait until 2024, when there's going to be less things to worry about, like park reservations. However, the dining plan does come back in 2024 on January 9th. And so that will be something that we'll think about if we're booking for 2024. But until then, hopefully we can talk soon. But you have a magical day. Goodbye.